So unfortunately, Urug is going to make the second floor lair a little bit painful to deal with, especially since it's this huge, wide open space. She's going to be wandering around. She's going to find us. You'd think she'd be a little less good at this whole hide and seek thing, having only one eye, and even that one doesn't work well enough, seeing as how she thinks that we're a harpy based on our appearance. Again, it made sense when I was a Tengu, but come on, Urug. Another orc? You're gonna do me dirty like that? Maybe it's just how bad I smell. I mean, no showers as you go tumbling through this dungeon day in, day out. Can only imagine. But okay, there's also a herald hanging out here. So how about that? With a wand of ice blast, they could hurt a decent amount. We do have cold resistance, but unfortunately doesn't do a lot against ice blast in particular. So we might just have to head out for the time being. And let's maybe poke our heads into Orc, see if that's slightly more approachable to a certain degree. I mean, at least Urug won't be down here, we know now, so silver linings and all that. Much better. I feel like one of the main issues with this run, and where we're definitely seeing ourselves fall off a wee bit at this stage, is the simple fact that we are not great at anything. We're pretty good with melee fighting. We're unfortunately kind of garbage with spells just due to the lack of said spells. Ooh, Chainmail of cold resistance. Last time we tried Chainmail was too heavy, but I mean, nothing to lose now. We only have Scorch, right? So let's pick that bad boy up and see where that leaves us. Potentially this helps us pivot a little bit more towards that axe fighting side, because as mentioned, yeah, we just don't have the repertoire of spells to really sustain a full caster at this stage. So let us wear this son of a gun and see where Scorch sits. 7% failure is not great. We're currently training armor, so that will be getting better as we go here. In fact, we should probably put a cap on that. Fighting as well, we can bring up to 11. And so yeah, we could learn some fire magic if we so desired. I was confused for a moment why earth magic was there, but I'm guessing it's because I picked up a staff? Do I have a staff of earth? No? Yes, there it is. Okay, that makes sense. Thought that might be the case. Threw me for a loop for a moment, but we got there. And the Orc Knight now is going to be a bit of a tricky cookie to crumble here. And at the very least, lead all of our friends on a little bit of a merry chase back to the stairs so we can hopefully separate them a little bit more here. In fact, I will fight 2 warriors. That seems manageable at the very least, and it does in fact seem to be the case. But now you, friend, slightly more worrisome. Never mind, never doubt whatsoever, honestly easy. I will pick up a +1 war axe. That's a nice little upgrade to tack on in the near future here. You just an orc wizard? I hope you're just an orc wizard. Seems to be the case. There's also a short sword of distortion in that mix of enemies that I did not give the time and caution that it otherwise might have needed. So whoopsie daisies on that point, but should be okay. At least that's what I was thinking until the Cyclops came along. Why is everywhere out of depth? I mean, sure, I got one of the easier early dungeons that you'll ever see, far luckier than I had any right. But why couldn't we just keep that going, game? I feel like we had a good thing going. You give me everything I want, and I do absolutely nothing for you. It's the perfect relationship from my perspective. But guess we'll try it out. I was actually trying to wait there, and I'm not sure why we stepped. Huh, how about that? Turns out Cyclops wasn't necessarily as worry-worthy as it initially seemed. That first rock threw me for a loop. I guess the kind of flip side to that is that they probably were worth the worry. And we just got lucky the second half of the encounter, but that's how all things should go for me. Always lucky all the time. And that's why we never don't have it. And okie dokie, slightly more manageable, though I'm sure Orc 2 is going to be an absolute nightmare to deal with. I also didn't notice that in our recent uses of our god powers, we did go down to 4 stars of piety. So we are slowly but surely losing contact with the giant lighter in the sky here, unfortunately. We do have some more downstairs options at the very least, or one more downstairs option to be more explicit. Oof, this is a bad place to be as we get surrounded, including the polearm. But okay, Orc Priest has to go so don't get smitten or smote or what have you. But you know how I was just talking illustriously about Orc and how this was definitely working out for us to a greater degree? Turns out I was wrong. So now we go back to decision time, and a hard one at that. Do we want to keep trying to stair dance a little bit here? Maybe take 1 or 2 enemies up at a time? Besides all those polearms, it's possible, and of course down that first stairwell, if we take a quick peek, there's mostly this warlord that I don't think we have too much of a chance against in our current iteration, in our current state, especially when their outfit is on point like that. I mean, you got the whole gold and red theme going strong here. My man. So, probably gonna leave Orc. Lair has a Rogue and Herald just waiting for us, waiting to tear us a new one, unfortunately. Both of which seem to be just a little bit beyond our current scope. So that would just leave the regular dungeon. Sure, the majority of D11 here is untraversable because it's scary is the thing. This Death Knight, some 2-headed ogres, whatever else is in this weird middle section, all far too much for us. But we could just head downstairs and hope that that does the trick for us. I guess I say that we could always head downstairs, but the truth is that we have this one downstairs discovered, and that's it. So I think what we'll do instead here is head back up and let us head down not this stairwell, no thank you, but this stairs. Do a quick block off. Actually, we'll just stop ourselves manually if we start auto-traveling that way. Let's hope that things go a little bit more consistently down this direction. Definitely poison this son of a gun up as much as possible on the approach and get blasting. You can see that Scorch has definitely fallen off by this stage, and so that's why we'd very much like to gain a larger selection of spells. Sorry, crap, wrong door. Sorry friends, I did not mean to interrupt you. Again, if you could just go home please, that would be lovely. I don't mind whatsoever. Okie dokie. So this whole middle section is just a nightmare, hey? D11 is scary, surely D12 would be better, right? That follows logic. That's not at all a ridiculous statement, right? Though to be fair, in this specific circumstances, our D11 has this weird vault that's full of nastiness that I am well and truly terrified by. So, with that kind of thrown into the equation, maybe it's a little bit more reasonable than it otherwise might be. Our fire resistance that we got from Ignis definitely helped out there against the Pyromancer, but the Gargoyle is turning out to be a little bit trickier than I anticipated on their side of things. Could try and do something like a Mind Burst, I guess. We take a quick peek. What are we working with here? 3d8. It is a bit loud, which is not necessarily the best for our current state of being, but it's a decent chunk of change if it does succeed in the coin flip, which we all know. I mean, I got Tails first try. How could I possibly lose a coin flip in the video game? just doesn't make sense. So, could use that. Stone Arrow is 3d12. Because the other option is to start running away like this and hope that our gargoyle friend wastes some turns. And they do indeed. And that actually should get us out of here in one piece. Yeah, Stone Arrow cannot kill us, so fantastic. We can just heal up fully, and let's reset this fight. Maybe I should be scorching you? Yes, that did end up being much better overall. Oh, geez, Louise. Not what you want to see in your D11 when you're already kind of sitting behind on the back foot a little bit. But it does mean now that we have found another stairwell to D12. Let's take a peek. I mean, a null band, that's so much better. Except for that, I even thought it in my head. There was a brief moment where I thought, hey, that's a magical trident. I hope it's not distortion. Well, how about that? This is what we get for playing fast and loose with the rules here. Should definitely be slightly more cautious. Blind Skulls, probably one of the simpler enemies for us to fight against down here and still utterly terrifying. At least this one's not fully immune to fire, so maybe I can scorch ya. Not so much. Not so much, you say? Maybe I can swap to my fancy axe and we can see how fighting you might turn out. The answer you were looking for is not great. A little trip to the abyss, not exactly what we were hoping for, but let's just make the best of it while we're here. I mean, I do hear the abyss is lovely this time of year. Deeper into the abyss? No, that's not the type of gateway I'm looking for, actually, game. If you could throw me one of the opposite, that would be fantastic. Okay, there's a portal out of here. At the risk of being jumped by something terrifying, or being pulled somewhere else in the abyss, I'm going to heal. Okay, Untitled, we should be able to kill and still heal. Bone Dragon. No, 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 no. No, thank you. This is not what I ordered, actually. And let's just head up. So, is this our only stair that we have access to at the moment without coming across this Death Knight? Huh. Less than ideal is what we call this. I mean, I don't want to risk upsetting or offending the game because we did just take a trip to the abyss and get out in one piece at level 12, so let's maybe hold my horses a little bit in terms of what we're calling out in terms of luck, because that is wild just to have gone that. But do I risk another rumble with our distortion friend, or a Rogue and Herald, I guess, is the other option there, which is not great. We've definitely come up against the wall. One thing that I've been less than appreciative of are these Ignis skills. Could we use any of these to decent effect to get through these Sons of Guns? I mean, Fiery Armor will help kind of across the board in any fight that we think we'll struggle in, but we do believe that we could win given the right kick in the butt. Foxfire Swarm, a little bit rougher at this stage in the game, especially against high AC enemies. I'm not sure how much damage we'd be able to lay down on someone like Uruk or Herald with a Foxfire Swarm, even if all of them are hitting. I guess it is like, what, a 1d9 times up to 12, depending on how many summons we get. So at least it's something. It's not a pittance by any stretch of the imagination. And I really should have grabbed the rune while I was there, Safid. My bad. We even had the portal down another floor of the abyss. We could have gone to Abyss 3, grabbed the rune. Would have been super easy, right? think I'm not willing to push my luck that far, despite my my usual mentality. But okay, I decided to go with the Distortion Trident. I think we have a shot. Okay, less of a shot now that I've made this mistake. Please no more enemies. Ooh, and I was hoping that this was going to be a contingent hallway. That would have been nice. Well, 0.28 Abyss Rune, the first rune that we ever get in 0.28 Abyss Rune. Wouldn't that have been something for the resume? But as is, no, I'm just going to run. And fortunately, the tunnels did eventually meet back up, so that's good. Trying to very carefully fight only when we're not in danger of being sent to the Abyss. And here's where Ice Blast starts to do its wonders. So we try and blast the Null from far. Two-headed Ogre and a Nightmare. Or a Shadow, rather. But I call you a Nightmare in my spare time, because that's what you are, let's be honest. Oof. I mean, we do have two enemies between us and the Null. Unfortunately, they're kind of scary. But otherwise, this could be a decent opportunity to just start scorching and hoping it hits the appropriate targets. Let's try one. Let's try two. That's not at all what I was just talking about, game. Excuse me. None of that, please, and thank you very much. We'll take our lovely new friend upstairs. And there we go. We've hit all of our caps once more here. And unfortunately, do we have to give up the fire magic dream, at least for the time being? Come up with some other solution for the interim here. And that would either be evocations, trying to get our wands slapping a little bit harder, or throwing is the other potential option to try and soften enemies up as they approach us in a fight. Potentially even come up with a way to kill this Null with like a javelin throw or something like that, keeping enemies between us and them. Unfortunately, DCSS, you're not leaving me with a lot of options here, so let's go with it. Let's learn some throwing, at least a little bit. Keeping it fairly low for now, just 6. We'll see how long it takes to get there. And I don't know if I believe this stairwell is an appropriate place for us to go down anymore. It's a bit of a rough call, to say the least. Two-headed Ogre could instantaneously put us in a pretty rough predicament on that single turn of being in their line of fire. But let's do it. Perfect, never didn't have it. Still have the room to work with a little bit here. Don't think we have too much that we want to throw at this son of a gun at the moment, unfortunately. We should be able to kill you, ideally. Though I have been wrong about these things before. So maybe we'll try and poison you. We'll take you upstairs on your own. Took a bit of a hit to do it, but that is all part and parcel of the plan here. And we do have a giant loop if we wish to leave this buddy alone on the floor for the moment here, which I kind of do. At the very least, we can head towards that way. These random energies kind of working out for us, kind of not. It's anyone's call as to whether they'll be adjacent to us, and they are not, so that's fantastic. Oh boy. What a predicament we find ourselves in. Could try up here, but it's not looking much better. In fact, if that Death Knight and the two-headed Ogre are right next to the stairs, that's pretty much game over. Right then and there. Alternatively, if they've moved on, we might have some hope. Oh, and hello, Acid Dragon. I kind of forgot that we left you here. That was a while back. I'm sorry, friend. Well, let me just try and scorch you real quick. Perfect. Ooh, that looks like a new skin for the Dragon Scale armor. That's looking quite fancy there. That's like a gilded gold plate. Not bad. Not bad. Not something we're interested in at this point in time with this character, but still interesting to note. I'm curious what some of the later scales look like. Okay, here's another one of the two-headed ogres. Oh, do we try this again? Once more for old time's sake. Let's do it. Just gonna blast you with Scorch a few times. At least it's undodgeable. Holy moly, it is enough. So we made some progress. That's something. Definitely check that box on the resume. The Death Knight, unfortunately, is a bit scarier. 28 damage plus that battle axe. I mean, overall, that's slightly less damage, but Agony being thrown into the mix as well is a bit rough. And of course, Injury Mirror, we just have to kill some time and avoid dealing any damage. I mean, have you just considered winning Forehead? Oh my gosh. Of course. Why didn't I think of it sooner? We should just win. Here I've been trying our best to lose this whole time. No, hopefully a shift of gears, a shift of mentality will be enough to get us through. What if we just cast Polar Vortex? All viable strategies. Definitely viable strategies. Oh gosh. We are not okay. But we, of course, never didn't have it. And you're dead. Perfect. Just Polar Vortex. I mean, in some ways, Ice Blast is a vortex of polar energy, right? If you squint really hard at it. So, done and done. Fantastic. All according to the master plan, of course. Does mean we have a bit more dungeon to explore on this floor. And then we'll be heading down this new stairwell, and maybe this will be the break we need. Our one big break. Don't like the vampire. I'm slightly concerned about that. You know what? I haven't been checking out scrolls in a while. Did I get more ID? I got one more ID scroll. Less than ideal, I'd say. But what are these 5? Enchant Armor. I don't think there's anything I'm desperate to enchant here. We could enchant the Chainmail of Cold Resistance. We do kind of just need survivabilities in the short term here. So it would probably be something to at least think about. But I'm so bad for this kind of thing. How could I spend them now? What if we get something brilliant in just a floor here? Then I'll feel like a fool, I tell you. And this is why I find myself in early graves more often than I potentially should with my level of experience in the game. See, the new strat of just winning comes through again, and I owe it all to you. All to you. You and Dr. Pirate keep me on the straight and narrow of just winning. So obvious in hindsight. I was a fool. I was blind, but now I see. Let's drop some of this garbage that we're lugging around before our inventory gets full. How about that for some proactive work? That's very unlike me. Becoming a whole new person today, apparently. One that actually survives in crawl? Maybe. Maybe. That would be the dream at the very least. Ouch. No thank you. No thank you. I'm not interested in what you're buying. I mean, I think we're just gonna die here. Especially with high rolls on Stone Arrow. I mean, I can't just let myself die, right? It's too early days for that. We have some tools at our disposal here. So I will start with a blink, even though I kind of am concerned. I'm worried. Besides just winning, which again is a valid strat, we're a little bit in the rough, as it were, to borrow some terminology from, I think, golf. Maybe I shouldn't use analogies that I'm not intimately familiar with on my end, yet here we are. If I could separate the gargoyle and the Cyclops, maybe we'll be okay. Maybe we'll be okay. One could dream at least, right? Okay, we're not at one shot from Stone Arrow. We've almost got this son of a gun as well. Oh gosh, server. Server, are we okay? No? No, you say. Well, that's a shame. We're gonna keep spamming stuff and hope that it all turns out in the long run. That's a good strategy, right? Just spam through the lag. Your recent strat has been to just use what you find rather than hold on to it, especially if you're not going to do extended. Too often you find yourself in depth with Wand of Flames and think, why? What was I saving this for? Hey, you never know when you might come across a shallow pool of water that you wish to turn into a steam cloud. Maybe, I mean, when food was around in the game, we could think about steaming some vegetables or something like that. But no, that's something that I've tried to convince myself of a couple of times in recent history here, specifically for Enchant Armor and Enchant Weapon Scrolls. Just use them on the spot. I find it hard with body plates. If I have a good shield, that's an easy one that's probably not going to be replaced. Similarly, for gloves or boots that have an ego on them, that one's easy for me. Just plop all these bad boys down. But I really don't know where I end up sitting. With like my current chainmail that we're wearing, it's not something I would want to take even to the non-extended end game, right? Just in Zot and stuff. Though, we have been stuck in this boat before and ended up going with that as our last ditch resort because we never did find that fantastic piece of armor that I'm just holding out hope for, believing in my heart of hearts that we'll come across. So I think that that is the correct way to go about things. I think it's intelligent and correct to use these things while you've got them, especially since anything to stay alive in the now helps you stay alive to get to the future, right? It's that easy. It's a pretty simple logic. But my brain is too dumb for that. Instead, I gotta roll the dice each and every time that any game gives me the option. I gotta roll the dice. Got some demonologists here. I mean, if you want to head into the fray directly and leave your minions behind, I don't mind whatsoever. I don't like a Nethack coming in this early on. We should be able to kill this one demonologist relatively quickly, though. Or, you know, not at all. That's cool, too. Yep, totally fine with this. Not at all scared. Not at all upset. Oh, gosh. You know what? No. I refuse. There's the distortion trident coming our way. Oh my gosh, it's just a situation that gets worse and worse as we continue on. Okay, I'm gonna loop up. This way. We're gonna have to take one turn risking banishment. Even though I also don't necessarily want to go up these stairs because I'm pretty sure there's a two-headed ogre just a sit-in, a wait-in for us there. So that's gonna be a whoopsies from me. Use it or lose it, exactly. I think that's the correct mentality to take. Okay, don't banish me, please. Thank you, I appreciate it a whole lot. I just need an opportunity, one chance here. Okay, well we survived, so that's nice. Using just a wand of digging, not even having to reach into our quickly depleting supplies of blinking scrolls. So that's nice. But again, we're at the wall. And what do we do at the wall? We can look at Ignis. Does Ignis have anything for us? I think we gain like 7 armor class from fiery armor, as well as an okay amount of damage output onto melee foes. Foxfire could be interesting. We just need the room to make it work. So let's maybe give it a shot. In fact, I'd like to come down here. We have to do this manually because there are some exclusions that are important yet on this map. Let's get rid of this and let us do a couple of different things. The first of which is actually going to be to go upstairs. So we did not need to remove that whatsoever. But I'm going to try and kill the two-headed ogre that we left down here. Oh, and hello. I didn't realize the vampire also came upstairs with us. Well, hello, friend. It's not great seeing you here, but it is what it is. Can you Scorch while they're invisible to get some guaranteed hits, even though it doesn't seem to be doing the trick? There we go. Fantastic. And now it's just the two-headed ogre, who I do believe we can best. We've killed one before at the very least, so that's something, right? Let's see how it goes here. It's your philosophy anyway. I think it's a good philosophy. And hey, Bob the Ape, welcome back. Things are going okay in terms of the run. In terms of life, fantastic, thanks. I hope you're doing well too. But we are definitely in a struggle point right now where we aren't quite good enough at spells. We're not quite good enough in terms of melee damage. So instead, we're just kind of awkwardly stuck in the middle trying to figure out what it is that we do here. Let's test out a few strikes against this son of a gun, and as soon as it starts going poorly, we just run away. Random energy seems to have been in our favor in the past. I believe it could be again. Thank you, game. I appreciate it. Oh, except when I make a silly mistake, like walk towards the wrong opening. That's not fantastic. But let's try and make it back to the stairs in one piece, and then we can brainstorm how else we might be able to take care of this two-headed problem of ours. Do we blind read looking for branding, quit, enchant, or requirement? I think we might at this point. Oh, wait. What? We got some more ID scrolls. Never mind. Just checking our scrolls was the right call. We get amnesia and enchant weapon. So we do have enchant weapon. Again, there's something inside me that breaks a little bit when I think about enchanting a war axe instead of, holding out hope for that broadaxe to show up at some point in the future. Can even do a quick search for broadaxe, just in case there's no space. Let's take out axe. Unfortunately not, but I think it's the only way we're getting past this wall. So, at the end of the day, we're going to do something a little bit unusual for myself at the very least, and start enchanting both our armor and our weapon. I'm first going to look up Chainmail to make sure there's not a better one that we've missed. Looks about right. And so, it begins. Let's just toss a bunch of these bad boys down. We need the survivability now instead of in the future. And to a similar extent, I guess the war axe is going to have to do for the time being. Oops. And there we go. Could still blind read, maybe one or two more here. Hoping for, branding or requirement would be absolutely huge, especially requirement. Though if you give me a broadaxe after I just committed, we're going to have stern words. Let's give it a shot. Roll of noise. Okay, not exactly what we were hoping for. Let's see how we do, though, with our new lease on life. We have quite a bit more AC, quite a bit greater odds of actually hitting this son of a gun. I think we're just about at lethal. But with 23 AC, very unlikely, so I am going to swing a couple more times. And we do manage to take them out this time around with those extra little bonuses, so definitely worth something on its own. And in fact, maybe, just maybe, since the next floor isn't looking much better, let's see what else is waiting for us in this sketchy little dungeon area. I mean, sure, it's worked out horribly for us in the past, but there's no way it could continue to do as such, right? No chance? No shot? Perfect. That's what I like to see, game. That is what I like to see. So ideally, we get some decent treasure here in exchange for beating what I'm tempted to label as Art of Depth enemies, even though that's not exactly fair, seeing as how we are on D11. This is where things generally get turned up a notch. Maybe the Death Knight, a bit much for D11. Usually that's more of a Vaults enemy, but at the end of the day, all within the scope of what could have been accepted. And still no spellbooks. Day 79, still no spellbooks. Began to lose hope at ever becoming a real wizard. You're not a wizard, Torinski, unfortunately.